High-fee independent school Peninsula Grammar has moved to stand down dozens of staff this week, telling them it could no longer afford to employ many of them in the face of a likely exodus of students.
The school in Mountain Eliza expects a slump in enrollments of more than 10% next year as families make economic decisions to withdraw children amid the COVID-19 crisis. Many families are already struggling to pay full fees.
Peninsula Grammar has tuition fees of more than $13,000 for prep children, rising to more than $28,000 in senior years.
But the school's move to stand down staff and make more than a dozen non-teaching staff redundant is being opposed by the Independent Education Union, which took the school to the Fair Work Commission on Thursday.
The school agreed during conciliation to extend its consultation period for redundancies until May 29. It is one of a number of independent Victorian schools that has tried to trim staff numbers in response to the COVID-19 crisis.
Principal Stuart Johnston wrote to staff on Wednesday, saying financial pressure related to the coronavirus lockdown meant it had to reduce costs.
The school also has a large international student cohort, and many of those students have departed.
The school has students departing mid-term and our forecasting predicts, even with the 30% concession of fees, over 40% of families will struggle to pay their school fees, Mr. Johnston wrote. We are starting to see parents considering withdrawing their children and expect enrollments for 2021 to decline by well over 10% as a direct result of families coming under financial pressure.
Mr. Johnston said the school was overstaffed in some areas both now and most definitely in the future.
According to a school document seen by The Age, staff have been targeted for permanent cuts in groundskeeping and maintenance, marketing, administration and music tuition.
But the Union for Non-Government Schools accused Peninsula Grammar of attempting to stand down staff unlawfully, as there had not been a genuine stoppage of work at the school.
There is legitimate work for all staff to be undertaking, both during this period of remote learning and once students return to campus in less than 2 weeks, the union's Victoria and Tasmania branch secretary Deb James said.
Peninsula Grammar appears to be the only Victorian school that has persisted in standing down a large number of staff during this pandemic, she said.
Peninsula Grammar has moved to stand down staff just 3 weeks after Independent Schools Victoria, the peak body for independent schools in Victoria, and the union struck a deal to reduce the number of staff being stood down due to COVID-19.
Under the deal, non-teaching staff such as cleaners, canteen staff, groundskeepers and bus drivers can have their hours and pay reduced by up to 25%.
It paves the way for schools to reduce their wage bills without risking a clash with their employees of the kind that befell Haileybury, a top Melbourne private school, when it tried to stand down some of its music teachers. The school abandoned its effort after the union went to the Industrial Tribunal.
Ivanhoe Grammar and Ballarat Clarendon College have similarly backed away from plans to stand down staff in recent weeks.
Peninsula Grammar declined to comment about the stand-downs and redundancies while the matter was before Fair Work, but said the overwhelming number of staff that have been temporarily stood down will return when the school reopens.